Balake. Where is Balake at?
My name's Blake.
Do you want to go to war, Balake? I'm for real. Ron.
Ron is here, everyone. Welcome back for more SPTV, where every day is a great day not to be in a cult. And my guest today is someone who is also not in a cult, but used to be. Welcome, Trish.
Hi, Aaron, or Ron. I love that
How
intro.
are you doing? Okay, so are you sick of it? Like, so the viewership is divided, or maybe not divided. So, okay, so you don't think I should get rid of it?
No, it's your thing now. It's your staple. It's your marketing. You got to keep it.
I do love it. It never gets old to me.
No, it's fantastic. Definitely don't get rid of it.
Oh, I'm so glad that we're finally getting to do this chat.
I know. It's been a long time coming, I feel like. It's nice to finally meet you.
That's right. We've only been chatting on the phone for a long time, but I mean, I do know what you look like. So every time you call, your photo comes up on my phone.
Right. Yep. Well, here I am in the flesh.
There are so many places we can and will go in this conversation.
Yep.
And you know, we have so many mutual contacts and friends and family members who know each other and have worked with each other. So your mom, Kay Connolly. Okay, so in the title of this video, I called you Trish Conley, parentheses Walker. Is Walker your married name presently?
It's my divorce name, but yeah.
Okay.
I never changed it legally.
Okay,
so I'm legally Walker.
And for the Scientology people, Scientology affiliated people watching, Kay Connolly is your mom, Jim Connolly is your dad.
Correct. Yes.
And to me, when I was in the Sea Org in Los Angeles, your mom was a major presence. She was well known. She was well respected. She was generally known to be a nice person. She was I think she was the L. Ron Hubbard personal public relations officer. I think that's what her post was.
She was. She worked with Heather, I think.
My wife, or you know, soon to be, like not quite yet, ex-wife. She worked directly. Your mom was her direct senior for a ton of years.
Yeah.
That's how I got to meet your mom, was just because my wife worked for her. And it's almost like she's been in Scientology in the Sea Org for so long, like everybody knows Kay Connolly.
Everybody. She was so well loved around PAC. I mean, she was just everyone's favorite. Like everyone wanted her to be their mom, or, you know, she was sweet. She's a sweet lady.
Yes.
And she,
I'm not, go ahead.
No. What?
I'm not sure the jury says the same thing about your dad.
You know, it's so funny. Sure. I was always kind of a daddy's girl more. I really, really wanted the love and affection of my dad. So, and I'm his only biological child. So I feel like we had a lot of, you know, we were really bonded in that way. And my mom had two other kids, my sister, Liz, and my brother, Gary, from another father. And, but over the years, more recently, I should say, I've realized that, I've taken the rose-colored glasses off on my dad. And I see that he was not the hero that I always thought he was. Do you know what I mean?
Well, that may be. And just for the record, I didn't know your dad. I didn't work with him. The people I've spoken to who did work with your dad were kind of terrified of him. And
really?
For the Sea Org, that's to be expected. But sometimes you can have, you know, female Sea Org executives and people are terrified of them as well. Your mom was a rare exception where everyone actually loved her.
Everyone loved her. Absolutely. I know. She doesn't have an enemy in the world, for sure. She definitely did that.
I told Sterling we were going to have this conversation, and he said, ask her what her relation is to Gary Connolly, because Sterling knew Gary really well. How are you related to Gary?
He's my brother.
Oh.
Yeah. So Gary is the son. Well, he's my half brother, like Liz is my half brother, sister. Okay. Sorry. He's been at Gold. I want to say he joined the Sea Org when he was 15. He's got to be at least 7 years older than I am. I hardly know him. I've hardly had any interactions with him because he's been up lines for that long. He's probably 60 now, I want to
Oh, wow.
say. And so
Hmm.
I've seen him a handful of times since he was, the dirty older brother that lived in the other room. You know what I mean? Like when I was really little. So yeah, and he's married to a girl named Amy Conley. I don't know what her maiden name is. He was married to Kate Allen,
Hmm.
who was at Gold, and then she has a twin sister who I heard was a bit of a monster, who was the CO Gold. Lisa and Kate. Lisa and
Oh,
Kate Allen.
hmm.
Uh,
Okay. So that's Gary Connolly.
yeah.
And also for the viewers watching, Kate Sobrano, the famous
Mhm.
Scientologist,
Mhm.
an Australian superstar, is your first cousin. So your
Mhm.
mother's sister is Kate's mother.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we won't jump into any Kate stories, but if we even at all, but maybe sometime. I know there's a lot to say there.
Yeah.
I mean, it does surprise me that Kate is still such a dedicated Scientologist. It really does surprise me. She has seen the destruction that Scientology wreaks on families. She's seen it firsthand. She's not. Yeah, is she a huge celebrity? Yes, but she
Mm.
knows real Scientology.
Oh yeah, no,
Or-
she's IOT 8 all the way, she knows everything. She's been in since, we're all third generation. So
right.
we've been in for a long time. But yeah, I think it's a two-parter on that. I feel like Kate has struggled with it, but at the same time, she's built her friendships and she's besties with Tom and Jenna, and so there's a lot more to lose than to just be able to, you know, uh, to wake up one day and say, I don't want to do this anymore. If that's the case, I mean, I'm sure she wouldn't. Be great if she did. Who knows? But yeah,
I
she
feel
knows.
like I
She
feel like
definitely
I
knows.
have sort of a kind of a big picture question people might ask, which is, who is it easier for whom is it easier to leave Scientology? A
Mm.
lower level member who maybe doesn't have a lot, like, is it easier for I'm being a little inarticulate about this. Someone might go, oh, it would be so hard for Tom Cruise to leave Scientology because, they could blackmail him. Oh, he's got so much to lose. And I tend to go, no, it would be
No,
easier for Tom Cruise to leave Scientology
it would
than
be
it would
easy.
be for someone else who
Well,
maybe has, 6 family members in and their employers in. Like, so someone might be like, oh, they have so much more to lose if they left. And I think of it the other way. It would be easier for those people to leave.
I agree with you. I agree. It's easier for a celebrity to leave than it would be your average person who is relied upon. Maybe, your family's in, your kids are in, maybe a couple of them in the Sea Org. Maybe you're working for somebody and that's your income. But if you're a big celebrity, you can just do, hire lawyers. Like if Scientology tried to throw Tom Cruise under the bus, the defamation lawsuit, would not be pleasant, I'm sure, because the resources he has. So no, I would say it would be easier for him, in my
Yeah.
opinion,
Yeah.
than a normal person who's got a lot of, connections. I mean, we've all felt it. We all feel it now after all these years. There's, you just never, you can never uh, fully separate from,
Yeah.
you can never fully leave anyway. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. The media recently published some photo of Kate arm in arm with Tom Cruise at the was it
Yeah,
the Australian premiere of the latest Mission Impossible?
it was. Yeah.
And I was like, man, she's never gonna leave.
Never, never. I broke my heart. We were very close family, always. But unfortunately, it's all about Scientology. Everything, like if I were to become a Scientologist again, I would be back in the family. It's that simple. Has enough, that's the long and short of it, which is sad. That's the perspective and the point of view that people have, is that, or in my family, or a lot of people's families, that, you know, if you're in with us, we're going to let you be our family. You know, we're going to let you be part of our family. But if you're not, I mean, yeah, she's never leaving.
Yeah.
Never.
So, how old were you when your folks joined the Sea Org?
Yeah, I was pretty young. So here's what I remember. I want to say I was 9 or 10 when they joined the Sea Org, but the way it was presented to us was, we're going to go to have a family holiday. We're going to Hawaii, and then we're going to Disneyland in Florida, which, of course, as a 9-year-old kid, I was just like over the moon. When we did go to Hawaii. That was probably the last family vacation. And then we made it to Flag. And then all of a sudden, it was not a vacation anymore. It was, you know, it was Jim, my dad, who was joining the Sea Org. I don't think my mother was fully on board at that time. But it was his way or no way, and that's what he was going to go do. So in the beginning, my mom took me back to Australia, actually, and was like, no, I'm not going to stay. But my dad stayed, and it was David Bloomberg. I don't know if you know him or remember that name.
I mean, I knew him from the Sea Org.
Yeah, so he recruited my dad. And I remember at the time being like, wait, what's happening? Like, we're on holiday. Now all of a sudden we're at Flag, and then my dad's staying. My mom doesn't want to stay. And my dad trying to get me to sign a billion-year contract to stay with him, to, you know, a very confusing time. I have photos of me in a uniform there at Flag, actually, in the very early days, like 9, 10-year-old. But my mom took me back to Australia. So, and then it was like they're going to get a divorce or something was happening. But my mom decided, no, we're all going to go now. We're all going to join. So then we went to LA, and that's where that whole, cadet org, all that stuff started, was actually in LA, not at Flag.
Oh, wow.
So pretty young.
Was Dave Bloomberg also Australian?
Yeah. Well, that's how I think he got my dad, is my dad's opinion leader,
What is it with Scientology putting Australians on these public personal relations posts? Like the LRHPPRON was like 3 Australians in a row. Your mom's Australian. Your dad's not Australian, though, is he?
Yeah.
Oh, he is actually Australian.
Yeah. Oh, he's a total Aussie, my dad.
Oh, okay.
Completely. Yeah.
So you were roped into the cadet org, but I had this idea that you were never in the Sea Org proper. Did you never
I was.
make it in?
Yeah, it's not as straightforward as some people's stories, because I feel like there was a lot of resistance from my mom and my dad's family. So it was sort of, we're in, we're out. How can we handle them to be here? But yeah, I was on the EPF at the Blue Building when I was around 10 or 11.
Wow.
Say, and I think that was pre-cadet org years. Before that, I set that up, because I remember going downstairs to where the dumpster area is and reporting to like the EPF bosun, about what your duties are, what your assignments are for the day. And, okay, your job is to clean that garbage can, the big garbage cans they have out on the side there. So I was definitely on the EPF, but I don't think it was easy for me to get through it. I wasn't educated. Those are big study programs for little kids, I feel like.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you were 10,
any of us got through that.
It would be impossible for a 10-year-old to actually get through those courses.
Right. Oh, and that was why. So then it was like, well, we better get her educated a little bit, So I would get tutored, or I don't know. There's a lot of I can't remember. I was in a cult, trauma.
And so, like, approximately what year would that have been?
Early 80s.
Early 80s. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know when the cadet org started.
Yeah, I don't know either. But when they were starting it up, that was before, like when I was over at the ATA, we didn't have uniforms like some of the kids after us had.
Mm.
We had just normal civilian. Oh, that's right. That's where we were going to get educated, at the Apollo Training Academy. I just remembered that. So that was sort of the beginning, early days of the cadet org.
Were there any other people you remember from that time who are still
Yeah.
around?
Not many, but some. Bill Feely was there. I don't know if anyone knows him. His dad, what used to be the COOSA for a really long time. Melody Kipp, if I recall.
Okay.
Who else was there? Melinda Brownstone was there at some of the times. I don't know. Yeah. A lot of people I don't remember, but
That's all right.
yeah.
So did you get through the EPF, or did they took you off the EPF to get educated? Did you ever make it back onto the EPF or into the Sea Org?
Yeah, I did. I made it onto the CMO EPF. And then something that was actually, by the time I made it to the CMO EPF, that was when the orders came down that there was going to be no more kids allowed or something, unless they were like going to be in the cadet org formally, or they had to, the parents had to route out and take the kids away until they were 18. Or they had to send the kid to live with a relative. So I want to say that I might have been like 14 or 15 by that time. And I was sort of doing posts around CMO, on the CMO APF. Honestly, it's a blank. We were running wild as kids back then. We were literally just pack rats. That's what we used to be. Just running around, trying to show up for a muster and then goofing off. And it wasn't a lot of control, it seems. Not a lot of parental control in those days.
What were your parents doing at that time? Just busy with post?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Full time. That was when family time, there was an hour a day, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. that you could spend, which every parent was always in a rush to, eat, get back to post. Yeah. So no, they weren't around often. They were always working. Always.
So you were on the CMO EPF. Was your mom in CMO at that time?
Yeah. My mom and my dad, I believe, were in CMO when, if I remember, it was on the wing of, the blue building, how it's got the wings like that.
Yeah.
I used to be in one of the wings, is where, like, they were just starting up the LRH PPRO network, and CMO was there. It was pretty early, late 80s. Definitely 80s. And then I never really got posted in LA. So I went back to Australia, and because when that order came down, I was like, I want to go back to Australia and let's all go together, trying to get my mom and dad to leave because it was a perfect excuse to get out. And they didn't want to leave the Sea Org. So they set it up that I would go live with my grandmother and my auntie, Cherie, who was Kate's mom. And so I went back to Australia, lived there for a while when this was right when Kate's career was just sort of starting. Still sort of frailing around, like trying to be on course or, do something, but not in school necessarily. And then my parents' visa, the visa issue, because we were Australian. So my parents couldn't stay in the States. So they had to come back as well. So they came back to Australia and were in the Sea Org in Sydney at the AO or the CLO. And so they convinced me to go back up there. Well, that's weird. Actually, before I even got there, I was on the RPF in LA. I lived in the parking structure right there. I just remembered that. So I don't know how I got on the RPF. How did I get on the RPF?
And was this like the regular RPF or the kids RPF?
Oh, no, regular. Like I was on the RPF with Matt Pesh, Bill Dendu. A lot of, I was little. They were older. I was young.
How old would you have been roughly?
Oh, 14.
Wow.
Yeah, easy. 14. I don't even think 15 yet.
Jeez. Living in the parking structure.
Yeah, they
on
didn't
Fountain
have
Avenue.
Yeah, on Fountain right there. And there was they had a woodworking studio at the time because Gold was getting ready for their, big band musicians. And so they would make all the music stands and the chairs in there, the RPFers.
Wow.
And then we would run and study in the basement underneath the other complex inside, the one in the middle. I forget what it's called. Lebanon Hall.
Leb Hall, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Lebanon Hall. And then we would go do, studying the RPF and, trying to audit people who were grown men, which, or grown women, which was crazy.
Did you actually get to the point where you were auditing?
Yeah, I was learning how to fly roods, I think, like, do I need to explain some of this stuff or no? Doesn't matter.
Sometimes I will, but that's too deep into the weeds. We don't have to explain.
I know. Yeah. No. So yeah, in the early stages of learning how to do a co-audit.
Wow. You don't remember what you got RPF'd for?
Well, at the time, this is what I do remember. My mother had blown. She'd taken off and left, and it was very confusing to me as a child because she had, my dad comes and gets me, he takes me into a room and he explains that my mother has blown and that she has to come back within 2 weeks or she'll be declared a suppressive person. Somehow she managed to call her mom and get an airline ticket, who were all Scientologists, but she got an airline ticket. She drove the car to the LAX and left the keys on the back tire, didn't tell anyone, just took off. And so when she was convinced to come back, because she did not want to be declared, she went to the RPF. And I was like, well, I just want to go be with my mom. And like I said, we were already out of control in those early days, all of us kids, running amok, sort of trying to be on post, trying to be in the Sea Org. But no, we were pack rats. I don't know exactly if they hadn't organized it properly, which they clearly didn't. The raising of young kids hadn't been figured out at all.
Oh, yeah. They never figured that out.
No, they still haven't. Yeah, because when I went back to Australia, I left from the RPF, but I left so the RPF was right. What year was the Portland Crusade?
80. I'm going to look it up. Portland
80.
Crusade Scientology. 85.
Okay. So I was on the RPF in 1985, which would have made me 12. So I thought I was older.
God.
So I was 12. Yeah.
That is stunning.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
Whoa.
And how long, if you recall, would you say you were on the RPF before you left?
Time is a different beast when you're a kid. So it felt like forever. And I really couldn't answer that question. For how long? Long enough to be miserable, long enough to be, you know, wanting out. But what happened at that time was the Portland Crusade, and it was all hands on deck. So everyone on the RPF got on a bus, and everybody went to Portland. So I was in Portland as a 12-year-old running around with a walkie-talkie singing, what was the song? I forget what the march was.
Let me see in the live chat if anyone knows.
I want to
from
say
back
it's
in the day.
We Stand Tall, but it's not that one.
Portland Crusade Scientology song is. I'm gonna see if the internet. The battle was there a Battle of Portland song?
Yeah, and like Jeff Pomeratz would be up the front with the flags and leading the whole protesters walking around.
Yeah, there's some YouTube videos.
Oh my God.
Let me see.
We will overcome. We shall overcome. Was that it?
Hold on. I'm gonna share this. I haven't even played it because I don't actually know if this is it, but let me try to share this. Let's see.
Oh, amazing.
This is 1985.
Willing to wait for an appeal. For them,
It's the old familiar story about justice. I'm not
the song? That's the song?
No, we weren't singing
okay.
that. This is hold on. What do they do? What the protesters were saying?
I'm gonna fast forward and see if there's a song.
This is incredible.
If she had a I'm under attack, Portland, 19 hand. Great Britain, 1985, because no one's being bad. We find staying alive.
John.
Portland,
oh my God.
Wait, so that you don't know what that song is?
No. I was 12.
Okay.
This was on the news, it seems, or this is somebody's
Edgar Winter.
parody. Yeah. Oh my God.
I just saw Edgar in concert a few weeks ago. He's playing with
He's alive.
Who's the drummer of the Beatles? Ringo Starr.
Oh,
he's
Ringo.
playing with the Ringo Starr and the All-Star Band.
Oh my gosh.
He's still really good.
You know who's coming to Florida soon? I don't know if you're into him, but he's Bill Maher.
Bill Maher, the comedian?
Yeah. He's doing something at that Ruth.
No, he is?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yeah.
He does a lot of Scientology content. I'll have to try to get to that show.
Yeah.
But let's see. Hold on. Let's see.
It's the Battle of Portland, 1985.
Oh my God, look at the guy with the garbage bag.
I'm here at the Battle of Portland.
There's Heber.
Oh yeah.
Wow. I'm here
Wow.
We're going to put our ideas out there. Along with others, you're going to see a lot of old friends here. And remember this, in the centuries to come, when you look back, you say, I was there. I was there.
You know what's crazy to me? He looks old there, and that was like 50 years ago.
Yeah, I know.
Not 50 years ago. What was
yeah,
it?
no.
85.
Hello, I just had a birthday. But
it was like 38 years ago or whatever.
It was a long time ago.
39 years ago.
I think I just remembered it. It was religious freedom now, or religious freedom now, or something. There was a chant that we all had to say. I forget. I'd love somebody who knew. It'd be great.
I want to see if any golden nuggets fall out in the rest of the video.
Fraud judgment against
outraged.
Oh,
Ben
Ken
Hoden.
Their church. They came because they were outraged. They came because their church and religious freedom were at risk.
That's Norman Starkey's voice.
Is it? Let me hear.
They came to sing. They came to protest. And those who came remember well the hours they kept.
Oh, so this is
Breakfast will be
Jeff
at
Pomerantz.
7 a.m.
What is he
Meet
holding?
here at
Oh, it's a candle.
7:30
yeah, it's a
a.m.
torch.
to greet
It's a torch for
the
freedom.
courthouse when they come to work.
And greet them they did. While workers peered from office windows, those who came to the crusade took signs in hand and circled the Multnomah County Courthouse where the battle was being waged.
This is
They
amazing.
carried their message to the world. Religious freedom will not die in Portland.
Religious freedom
That's it.
now.
That's
the one
it.
and only chant heard outside the Multnomah County Courthouse this morning. The
Brilliant.
demonstration lasted for
Brilliant.
hours.
For religious freedom from around beliefs.
In Scientology is the court.
Oh, there we go.
That
Religious
is-
freedom now.
Amazing that you found that. Oh my God. Oh, I got it at the end. Religious freedom now. I think they lost that case.
Yeah, although Scientologists think they won it.
That looks like a Scientology produced video, if that's Norman Starkey's voice.
It does seem like one. It
Yeah.
might have been a combo of news footage and Scientology footage, but okay, so they dug you out of the RPF to send you to Portland for that. And
Yeah.
were your folks there too?
Yeah, every Scientologist was there. You know, it was
Oh, okay.
sleeping in the parks. It was just you know how Scientology gets when there's a crisis. It's drop everything now and handle this now. So it was just one of those. It seemed like a normal day in the church at that time, you know. It's always something so urgent.
And so you
mean,
left
obviously-
sometime shortly after there, it seems?
Yeah, so I went back to Australia after that, lived with my auntie Cherie and my grandmother. And this when Kate's career was sort of starting up, so I was kind of like in charge of her fan club. Trying to, I don't know, go on course, but I was like, there was a problem because I was still an RPFer with a freeloader, you know, so I couldn't really be on course. So what to do with me? Oh my God, you just reminded me of something.
What's that?
Oh my God. I don't even know if I should say, but so somewhere around that time, I want to say I wasn't 12, mind you. I was probably older at this stage. I want to say 16 or 17. My parents had come back to Sydney to be in the Sea Org because their visas had, in America hadn't been sorted out properly. We didn't have green cards. And I remember trying to find, because I thought, oh my God, I'm going to have to go back in the Sea Org now that they're here. And I'm in Australia and I'm probably going to have to go back and live with them. And this is so terrible. I can't believe I'm going to say this to you.
I know what you're about to say.
I was so terrified that was what was going to happen that I went out and found LSD so that I would not be qualified for the Sea Org. How crazy is that?
Yeah. That's not very common for kids raised in Scientology.
That's how much I didn't want to go back to the Sea Org, I guess is what I'm trying to say about that, because that was pretty intense, a pretty incredible solution to the problem. But it worked.
So I'm dying to know when and how that came up. So I assume that they did then try to get you back into the Sea Org.
Yes, they did. And they wanted to say that it wasn't really LSD. And I had done it twice to make sure.
You're like, oh, it was LSD.
I was like,
Oh,
maybe it
believe
wasn't.
me.
No, it was. I want to make double sure. Because I don't want to be in the Sea Org.
I spoke with the elves. It was definitely the good stuff.
I can't believe I just said that. Anyway, there you go. Here's the truth, everybody. Yeah, that's how bad I didn't want to be. I'm shaking telling that story. I can't believe I just said that out loud.
Your parents must have been furious.
Oh, yeah. So furious that I got sent to the Mace Kingsley Ranch run by Wally Hanks.
Oh my goodness.
Uh-huh. So
Wow.
I
Was
there.
that in New Mexico at the time?
Palmdale,
Is that Arizona? Where's Palmdale?
California. It's
Oh, it
like
was in California.
It's like in the
Okay.
desert in Palmdale.
Oh.
Yeah, it was horrible. But I actually just found a photo of me there the other day.
Did you say Mace Kingsley or Mojave?
Sorry. No, I thought they were Mace Kingsley Ranch. It was a Mace Kingsley Ranch.
That was in Palmdale.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, there were a few, I think.
Okay. I think there
If
were
I'm
a
not
few, and I get them mixed up because different people tell stories of different Mace Kingsleys. And then there's the Mojave Academy, and there might have been more than one of those.
This was not a
keep it
nice
straight.
school. This is where you send your asshole kids.
Oh, I
Right.
know. Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
this-
Yeah.
this
All
was-
the. Yeah.
Yeah, this is where you send the bad ones. So I went there, but at the time, by this time I was 18. So
Huh.
I said I will stay here, but I won't do any Scientology because parents had to sign a waiver. But I was like, I'm legally 18, so I'm not going to do it. But I'll stay here because I don't. Where else am I going to go? You know, at the time.
They sent you from Australia back to California to just go to the Mace Kingsley Ranch.
There's a lot of little bumps of back and forth for
Okay.
here that I'm omitting right now because it's
Okay.
quite a complicated story. But here are like some highlights, and we can talk about the other details later if you want. But definitely, like I was in the Sea Org at AOSH Anzo before that for probably 15 to 16 and a half, maybe.
Okay.
You know, I was posted as a recruiter in HCO there. In fact, I have a story about that if you want to hear it.
It's story time.
It's story time, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember this one day at the AO, there was a reception desk, and I saw this guy come up. This guy walked up the stairs with a gas can. Have you ever heard this story?
No.
And oh my God. And he starts to douse the receptionist and the reception desk in gasoline. And you know the thing they do, they go, you know, HCO, bring order.
Yeah.
Right? They yell that, and all of a sudden, like all these Maori guys from, you know, all these Australian like rugby players come out. Chris Geider was there, I think. Roll him down the stairs. Anyway, it turns out, like right before he lit the match too, because he was about to light the match, so that didn't get lit. But I was like, why? What was that all about? And apparently, the guy's daughter was in the Sea Org, and he had been forbidden from seeing her, and he was disconnected from her, and he was just so fed up of trying to get a hold of her that he was about to like literally light the place on fire, which was just crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, nuts.
I never heard that story.
Yeah, thank goodness he didn't. But that was sad when I found out why he did that. That he was just desperate to see his daughter.
Did you know the daughter?
No, you know, everything gets hushed under the rug and you just sort of hear whispers in the night. So I don't fully remember the details, but I remember the incident because I was standing pretty close by.
Do you remember if he got arrested? Did they involve the authorities, or did they even want to hush it up?
Oh, no,
there
were police there. It was a huge deal. I mean, when somebody pours gasoline on a person, that's a big deal.
Oh my God. That's scary.
Yeah, that's a really, really big deal. Um, yeah, so it was after that that I got sent to the Mace Kingsley Ranch because I didn't do well in the Sea Org there. I just didn't want to do it.
The idea of an ex-Sea Org member being sent to Mace Kingsley is totally crazy to me.
Really?
Yes.
Why?
I mean, in the hierarchy of Scientology organizations and experiences, Mace Kingsley is where like Scientology public send their delinquent kids that they're afraid are going to wind up in jail or on drugs or on the street. Like it's where it's like the dumping ground for misbehaved Scientology kids, with the caveat there that a Scientologist definition of misbehaved is pretty ridiculous. And so, you know, someone who's gone through the EPF, been on post in the Sea Org, multiple different organizations, multiple different continents. The idea of sending someone who's had a Sea Org experience off to one of these wild Scientology delinquent kid ranches is just completely upside down to me. No matter how good or bad of a Sea Org member you were, or what they told you were, or whatever. It's like, of all the places to send. And also, you're already 18. You're already an adult. So, like, the idea that they're going to send you to one of these ranches for misbehaved Scientology kids, like, I don't know. That's crazy to me.
Well, I wasn't doing very well. I mean, I did go out and find LSD, for example.
There's that little detail.
Yeah, there's that little detail. So, I guess I was a naughty kid. I was a naughty kid. You know.
Were you in trouble a lot when you were on post in the Sea Org?
No, I was a pretty good girl, I think. I was pretty, you know, obedient and did the things I was supposed to do. Yeah. But my heart was never there.
Yeah.
Ever. It wasn't like I wanted to be in the Sea Org. I joined the Sea Org. It was just what I had to do to survive. It's where I had to be. It's where my parents were, you know. So I was pretty decent. I mean,
what was the Mace Kingsley experience like?
Well, for me, it was actually was kind of amazing because I was 18 and I didn't have to do any of the Scientology stuff. I could just ride the horses. I would cook the meals for the other naughty kids because I was older. And I mean, it was rough on some of those kids. I mean, those kids got paddled, with when they were in trouble. But I never had to do any of that because I was of age. I think the best part of it was they took us on a survival camping trip for 2 weeks in the Sierra Mountains. And to me, that was what turned me around as a 18-year-old girl, actually. Being out in nature with a group of people was absolutely breathtakingly stunning. The whole experience was just spectacular. And I came back and got my shit together and got a job and started my life. Got married shortly after that. So that part was great to me. That was great.
Are you an outdoor survivalist these days?
Oh, I love camping. Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah, I do.
I wish I loved it.
You don't love it?
I want to love it, but I hate it.
Really? Oh, that's a bummer.
Now,
so
maybe
many
that's
gorgeous
because,
places to see.
I mean, maybe it's because most of the camping I've tried to do is here in this sweltering Florida heat, and anything above 70 degrees and I'm in a bad mood. I like my weather cool and dry.
Yeah. Well, that's the high Sierras. It's breathtaking. Breathtaking. Nothing like being in nature. Not Florida nature. Not with those alligators and swamps and
the mosquitoes.
Warm mosquitoes and warm ocean waters you have there.
Yes, it's true.
I mean, have you ever been to Big Sur?
I've never been, but I want to be.
You got it.
I've never been to the Northern California outdoors. I've never been to the Redwoods or the Sequoias or Yellowstone or Big Bear or any of that stuff.
Oh, you have to go. You have to. You guys to take your girls. It's incredible. Just incredible.
They do
Really,
like camping because Heather
really
really loves camping.
spiritual, actually. It's spiritual feeling that you get in nature. I do. Something magic.
I like the magic of a nice soft bed, nice soft couch, some air
10 hours of
conditioning,
sleep, an
some
Xbox.
wings, some pizza, some steak. When
Okay, you
were
don't
there,
have to
so
go
did
forever, but yeah.
did Wally Hanks like run that place? Was he the
Yeah.
head of it?
Yeah. He certainly was.
There's a video online. I guess it's an audio, like it's an audio recording, but it's on YouTube.
I've heard it.
Of him paddling this kid while making the kid look at a photo of L. Ron Hubbard.
I've heard it. I've witnessed that.
Yeah.
With my
I
own
don't know how
eyes.
that got recorded.
I don't either. In fact, last night you were talking about, or Jenny, you were interviewing Jenny, and she was mentioning Carly Sarkovich, and Carly was there at the same time that I was at the ranch. So whenever that was, I don't know the year, but we were there together.
I remember thinking that the kid who got paddled was named Marco.
Oh yeah, Marco was always at the ranch. Apparently, he was always in trouble. Oh no,
You
was
know
it
what?
Marco? No,
Do
it
we
was
play this? Do we play this audio?
yeah,
You know what? We're playing this.
yeah. Do it.
Got to figure out how to share it properly. Oh, I see. Warning, everyone. This is some slightly disturbing audio.
Mm.
Okay, let's see. I guess if it's just audio, I don't have to actually like
Oh, that's
share the
room.
screen. But here, let's see.
You understand that I've had this myself done to me? Mike has had it done to him.
I'm going to skip forward a bit.
Just bend over. Hey, Eric. The other table? I think you're going to have to use the desk. Desk? Come on, Marco. I'm going to get this. I'm an animal, you're a gentleman. Come on, be a gentleman, Marco. Marco. Come on, guy. Down. You know what? Come off me, but don't fucking hit me. Let me get my fucking jacket off. You're bad for yourself. I'm not gonna get fucking hit, dude. Come on, Mark. Come on. Oh! Okay, I'll just let you do your leg here. I'll let him do it, okay? He's going home, I'll let him do that for him. Okay? I'll let him fucking do it. That's right. If he wants to do it, he can be a man. Stand over here. Come here, go over here. Okay, 6 to the back. 6 to the back.
I don't think he's hit him yet. I think these are chairs being shuffled around.
Yeah, they're fighting for each other. He's
Right.
trying to get to him or something.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you do it. Well, he's gonna stand there, I'll stand there like I'll grab him like a man. Come on, Marco, come on. Will you hold on to me? Let the thing go away. Marco, it's gonna be, the longer it takes, the more it hurts. So turn. After this is done, right now, this. Dude, you don't hit my butt, man. I'll offer you the power. Look for me. Want to go to the bottom? No. That's it. Okay, come here, Marco. 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 You took it like a man. Marco. You took it like a man. I don't want you.
Hold on. I remember him making him look at a photo of LRH, and I just want to make sure I'm not missing that part where he says that.
No, I recall that too.
No.
Yeah.
Want to go to the bottom? No. Let's go. Let's get over it. I don't mind doing this. That's it. Okay, come here, Marco. 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 You took it like a man. Marco. I said sit down in the chair. Now I mean it. Sit down. Don't yell at me, man. I said sit down in the chair. Sit down in the chair. Sit down. You took the punishment. Don't threaten me with scissors. Right, I thought you were John. What could you? Only you can do so at the condition of doubt, Marco.
Okay. Well, obviously the part where he made him look at the photo of LRH, but that was crazier than I even remembered.
That was more intense than I remember. I was actually starting to get emotional there. That was violent.
Yeah. Wally's dead now.
I know. Condition of doubt. Like, after
Did he
being
take? Is he the one that
hit
took
like
all
that.
the kids on the survivalist thing?
No, it was actually another guy who was just lovely, a really sweet guy. I wish I could remember his name. He had a dog, and the dog had its own backpack. Oh, Wally didn't go on the trip. Was another a nice guy, not a Wally guy. I
How long
recall.
were you?
Yeah, it was 2 weeks we went. And we went up to this into the Sierras. It was called maybe a week. Oh, you know who was on that trip with me? Jamie Butterworth.
Jamie was at Mace Kingsley?
I feel like he was there. Actually, I'll have to go through some old photos and dig them up for you of who else was there. There's a group photo of us. Yeah, I feel like he was there.
Wow. So, like, how are your parents paying for this?
That's a good question. I don't know. They paid for that, and they paid for Delphi LA for a little while for me. Before that, I think my dad, when he joined the Sea Org, he, sold his house, so he had, and he. So I think he had some money. I think his parents had some money. I'm not sure actually how he managed it. My dad's always kind of been a genius at money, though. Yeah.
So, like, during all this time, and I don't want to make this story too complicated by asking you about this person and that person, but you have siblings and stuff. So, like, are your siblings in the Sea Org during this time?
No, see, my sister and brother are 6 and 7 years older than me. So by the time when I was, 9 or 10, my sister was 16 and finishing high school. So she didn't come. And my brother had already gone off to Gold and has been there ever since. In fact, I would love if somebody knows anything about my brother, I would love to know. I know that my parents talked to him on a Skype video from base. I'm sure it's, recorded or monitored for sure because yeah, so I was just that wrong age,
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, if anyone has info about Gary Connolly, you can send it to me at growingupinscientology@gmail.com and I'll forward it on to Trish. Yeah, so Wally's that, like, for example, this is where some people get confused about all these stories, is because like Sterling Tompkins also went to a Mace Kingsley, but I bet it's not the same one that you went to. I bet there was one in LA, like a school.
Yeah, there was.
Right.
There was a Mace Kingsley school.
Right.
And there was like an Apple school, and there were a bunch of other shoot-offs. But this one, I feel like it was under the umbrella of the Mace Kingsley licensing, or, the Scientology licensing of Applied Scholastic. So whatever that was called, it's
Yeah.
just how they...
Or something under Able. Something under.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So then how did things go? What happened after, like, you said after you left there, you got married shortly thereafter, you got a job. What's the trajectory of life from that point?
Yeah, no, I became a very dedicated Scientologist after that.
Oh.
Yeah, I did my bridge. I did all the way up to OT4. Yeah, no, I was I was fully dedicated Scientologist after that
Wow.
for many years. Yeah,
Go for camping. Look at
I
how
know.
effective.
Go for camping. Well, my husband's family were Scientologists. My parents were Scientologists. You're all in the bubble. So
Is that the Walker husband? Is that where the Walker comes from?
Jason Walker.
Who was Jason Walker? Oh, see, I've never heard of Jason Walker.
He's out. Yeah, we're divorced, but we're still really good friends.
Oh, he's out of Scientology too. Nice.
Yeah, we didn't raise our daughter in it, which is also nice. She's 24 now. So I'm old. That's yeah, no, the trajectory was, I was a very dedicated Scientologist, and I made it through OT4. And by that time, the illusion, was coming down for me. There was a series of events that back to back. In fact, I was told that I had to go to Flag and do L10. And I love Mary Khan's story. You need more of her on the show, by the way. I love the way
I'm trying to get Mary Khan back on the show. She said she's not wanting to do a bunch more videos right now, but I'm going to keep twisting her arm.
I adore the way she tells the story, and I can so relate to that part where she's at Flag, just like wrung out and feeling like a crazy person, and just like, I gotta get out of here.
That might have been the ship. I mean, I think her story might have been on the ship, but I'm sure she's got multiple stories. She has a story at Flag like that?
I feel like it was all connected, where the pressure was mounting, the psychological warfare was mounting, the money badgering was mounting, the threat of disconnection was mounting, all of that. The pressure.
And just for the viewers real quick, like L10 is just a super expensive special auditing action that can only be delivered in Clearwater, Florida. And it's like $30,000, I think, for the one L. And it's just called L for, honestly, I can't remember. It feels like no special reason. Do you remember? List 10. List 10. There you go. It's called List L.
And it's called the new life. Get a new life.
So what, L10 is the new life rundown. I think L12 is the executive rundown, and L11, I'm going to totally forget what it is.
I have no idea what L11 is. I just remember
Any of you Scientology nerds in the chat, let me know what L11 stands for.
I just remember going, new life. That sounds great. Let's do it. I want a new life.
So
It
was
didn't-
that
and you know what? I got one, Aaron. The irony is I got one. I got out of Scientology and got a new life. How funny is that? That's what L10 did to me.
Okay, so yeah, what's the flag story? What was so bad on the trip to flag for L10?
This was around the time where everyone was being told that if you're a past life clear, you're no longer true, right? So rather than saying that up front, the lure was no, go L10. So I'd paid for L10. I was going for L10. And then I get there and they're like, so we have an R factor for you, you're not clear. And now we're going to have to do New Era Dianetics, OT style, which is, that's what Mary Kahn was talking about. I remember her saying, it's like, might as well pull out my fingernails. It's psychological torture. And I remember, I paid for the L's and I remember going through this auditing and just struggling with it and protesting and then adding up the fact that this is $700 an hour that I sit here. Every hour I'm wasting $700 on this thing that is making me feel mental and crazy and I don't want to do it. And I would try and handle it outside of the auditing because I was like, I gave you $30,000. I'm almost out of money. Like I don't, it goes pretty quick at $700 an hour. And yeah, it was just the worst thing ever. But like a lot of people say, and I've heard a lot of people say this, and I'm going to admit it too, I FN'd my way out of there, never to look back, because I knew that if I didn't, I would never get out. So somehow I just made it all seem like it was just fabulous and, take me away because it was the opposite. It was just awful. And that's when I slowly started to, say, I don't want to do this anymore. And then the basics came out, which I thought that's a scam. Reselling these books. I mean, if they're want to, be in exchange and then they should just give it all out for free, just give it out for free. But it's not. It's all about the money. And I thought that was gross. Just like Flag was all about the money. Nothing to do with me or my wellness or anything. It's all about the money. And then the daycare thing happened, which was just like a trifecta,
That happened right around the same time.
Mhm. Yeah, it was all pretty close together. Mind you, the daycare thing, it happened unbeknownst to me, and I don't necessarily want to go into all the details about the daycare situation, but there was a Scientology daycare where the kids were being what I don't know what I can say. They're not,
You can say they're being molested.
okay, where the kids were being molested by the daycare owner's son.
Who are both
And
Scientologists.
And the only reason, so it happened, my daughter was there at the time it was happening, but it had already been like 5 or 6 years until anyone found out about it. Because the girl, the owner, was trying to get onto her OT levels and had to do her OT eligibility, and it came up. So then it was announced that this is, what had occurred is that these babies had been molested.
And the kid at the time it was being reported, I believe, was still 17, was about to turn 18.
Yeah.
And there was some strategy to actually report it to the police while he was still a minor so that it could never come up again. At least this is my understanding of it. Do I have it wrong?
Wait, say that again.
That this is one of the rare instances where Scientology did actually report the matter to the police, but it was because they wanted to get it reported while he was still underage so that it could all be kept sealed and nobody would ever find out about this and it would never come back later to bite everyone or to bite Scientology in the butt.
Honestly, I can't answer on that. I wouldn't know, but I do know that because he was a minor, that made things easier for him because it's a closed case. Like, you can't even say his name.
Right.
Yeah, and somebody just pointed out to me recently that the fact that they did report it was a really good thing. Obviously, it was sickening enough to somebody there to actually go ahead and do that, because it seems like a lot of times they don't report things.
Right.
However, every Scientologist knows it doesn't matter, because a Scientologist isn't going to sue another Scientologist because you need permission, and all the dancing monkeys that go along with that, and the threats of being declared if you do it. So,
and Trish, can you correct me on this if I'm wrong? So, because someone's going to say, well, in a criminal matter, it doesn't matter if the parents sue. My understanding is that the matter itself was reported to the police.
yeah.
But all the parents were told not to cooperate
Yes.
and say they're not trying to press charges.
Yes.
And basically, even though it was reported to the police,
Yes.
no one cooperated because they were told not to. And that's why I say it was reported,
Yes.
just to get the case filed while the kid was still underage, and it would all be sealed up and it would all very easily go away.
Exactly. Yeah. You nailed it. That's what happened. Yep.
And there's that one point here. Versions of this story have been told over the last number of years, and Lisa Marie Presley's name has been brought up in relation to this story. Where does her involvement in any of this come into play?
So when I told Leah this story, Leah, Remini, I told her about it, and she had been talking to Lisa and told Lisa about it. And Lisa was so upset by it that she apparently went to Flag, confronted David Miscavage, and his sister was there, and asked him about this, and they just denied everything, said nothing happened. And she just, apparently, this is what I've heard, wasn't there, but this is what I heard, that just set her off. And she ended up leaving Flag and called me and said, if I can get you a lawyer, would you still want to move forward in prosecuting this guy, because this makes me sick? And I said, well, I'll talk to her lawyer for sure. I don't know what can be done now. It's been many, many years later. And I'm the only one. There was one other mother that I heard was ready to come on board at that time. Actually, some time had passed. And so she paid for my lawyer. She paid for me to talk to a lawyer. And after I got done with him, unfortunately, the statute of limitations had expired. The fact that the kid was a minor was a problem. And so nothing could happen anyway. That was my understanding. But she went out on a limb, and she, hired a pretty high expensive lawyer to spend some time talking to me about it, and probably looked into it himself, about how to move, if we could have prosecuted him, because I wanted him prosecuted right away when he was, I didn't give a shit that he was 17. I don't care. I just didn't care.
The one piece of this I'm not sure I've seen reported is that one of the reasons this upset her so much is that her goddaughter, she found out her goddaughter had gone to that same school or that same nursery.
Probably.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true, but Scientology is a small world.
Yeah. I do actually know that it's true.
Oh, yes. And I do know who you're talking about, and I can't remember her name, but she was another mother that wanted to get on board.
Yes.
I do know who you're talking about. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's interesting. This must have all been going down around the same time that Ron Miscavige Sr. was having his whole stuff play out, because I've heard where Ron Miscavige Sr. had, left the Sea Org, blown the Sea Org, and his daughter, even though he was not declared yet, his daughters were being ordered by David Miscavige to disconnect from Ron Sr. and not see him. And that's also something Lisa Marie was infuriated about, because I heard the version of the story I heard when she went to Flag and basically had come to Jesus meeting. She meant to have it with Dave himself, but it ended up being with his sisters.
Yes.
It was
yes.
over Ron Miscavige as well. But it sounds like, I didn't know that might have also been over the daycare thing.
I feel like it was, I mean, like I wasn't there, so I can't say, but I heard it was about multiple things. And Lisa was expressing to me personally about, how to handle it, because her kids were still involved, and one of them was on the Purif, and she really didn't want him on the Purif and wanted to get some other kind of help. It was she was unraveling, I think then. Very sad.
Was it sort of an out of the blue phone call from her, or did you guys have a relationship?
My sister knew her more than I did. No, it was Leah who set it up. But we all saw Lisa around the CC back in the day. Yeah, but I wasn't her friend personally.
I see. So the L10 stuff happened. That's so crazy that it's crazy to me as someone who was in the Sea Org during that time when all these people who had attested to having achieved past life clear were all being told they weren't clear. Like, it's just a new rule David Miscavige came up with. Even though Scientologists are supposed to believe in past lives, they're supposed to believe in it's possible to go clear in your past life. Miscavige decided, not anyone who's ever achieved the state of clear in a past life, you're not clear. Sorry. Return to whatever. Do not
return to sender.
Yeah, return to sender. And the amount of Scientologists who ended up leaving Scientology over the upsets created by that was meaningful. Now, it's funny, as someone who's been out for so long, part of me is like, good. It's good that the cult like destroys itself bit by bit through all of this internal stuff. But like, if you're still a Scientologist who kind of somewhat believes in David Miscavige or whatever, I can't help but point out how these initiatives that David Miscavige comes up with just crushes it creates mass exoduses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it does. It's like, I don't know what his goal is with that. Is he just going to be him and Tom at the finish line, just the two of them together? Like, I really don't get it. I'd have
just snuggling on a motorcycle like two normal dudes.
Off into the target 2, Tom. I don't know.
Blasting off together to target 2. It is weird though, right? Like,
it's so strange.
There's so many things that he does that seems to make it harder and harder and harder to be a Scientologist. It's counterintuitive to trying to get as many people in as possible.
Yeah, I'm really curious with this new wave of these trainees that are at Flag off, So what is it that they say? Ethics, tech, and admin. So he's got the ethics in, apparently. The tech is now in, and now what? Now it's admin. Like this.
Yeah.
L. Ron Hubbard's admin tech is archaic. Yeah. You know what I mean? We don't.
The whole stat management system is as silly as it can possibly be.
Yeah, and it makes people crazy because it's impossible the pressure on the Sea Org members to have these statistics that are above the week before every single time. Like, it's just not sustainable. And yet they can't change it.
For people who might be watching that's never heard me or us or anyone talk about this, I just want to point this out. Large, giant, international, multinational companies, they can plan 1 year in advance, 3 years in advance, 5 years in advance. They might even have a general 10-year plan. In Scientology, at an organization, you can only manage your stat on a 1 week basis. You're only considered that your statistics are up if you did more this week compared to last week. Not this week, last month, not this week, last quarter, not this week, last year, this week compared to last week. Mm-hmm. Okay, now imagine it's Thanksgiving or it's Christmas week, and your stats are down. they don't measure your stats compared to Thanksgiving the year before or Christmas the year before to see maybe you did better this Christmas than last Christmas. No, you're measuring your stats compared to the week of Christmas and the week before Christmas. In other words, it's impossible to have your stats up, and you're actually treated like you are a low producer. Okay, so that's on the organization level. At the continental level, they manage their stats on a 3-week trend. At the middle management level, they manage stats on a 6-week trend. At the international level, I believe it's managed on a 12-week trend, which means you're only using 12 weeks worth of stats to determine whether you're expanding and you're a good boy or you're contracting and you're a bad boy. This makes long-term planning impossible. Long-term planning does not exist in Scientology. Even international management is only measuring things on a 12-week trend. This is literally the dumbest thing L. Ron Hubbard could have ever come up with, unless your goal was just to make people neurotic and constantly panicked and anxious and running around. It's the dumbest thing ever. And a lot of smart people in Scientology, even a lot of smart people who have businesses in the real world, have convinced themselves that this somehow is the greatest management technology in this sector of the Galactic Federation in, you know, the last trillion years. And it's the dumbest thing ever.
Dumbest. I don't know what to say now. It's so dumb.
The dumbest.
Wait, who does that? Who does that?
Donald Trump.
Oh,
Donald
yeah.
Trump does that.
For a minute, I thought you were doing Larry David. But no, that's definitely Donald Trump. Oh, that's so
Why the hell
funny.
were we talking about that? What were we talking about?
Oh, why? I don't recall. Management. Oh, why does David Miscavage create these mass?
Oh, yes.
And like this next one's about to come, I feel like, with this.
Oh, yeah, ethics tech admin. So what's going to be his next excuse? He's running out of excuses. This might be when he actually takes all the money from SO reserves and just tries to open up the rest of the orgs. But once he does that, what's going to be his excuse for why none of them are St. Hill size? And then what's going to be his excuse for not releasing OT 9 and 10? Like, I don't know. He's coming. Could he be? Yeah, I feel like he's coming to the end of the road here, but probably not. He'll pull something. He'll pull up something out of the hat to convince people is the reason why.
Most snake oil salesmen have something to pull out of the bag, right? You know, something will be there.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. We were talking about you being de-attested from Clear and everything, and how many people that chased out of Scientology. And it chases people out of Scientology who were very dedicated, were very excited, and dropped a ton of money for their next auditing. And they're like, thanks for coming in for your next auditing level that you just paid us a ton of money for. By the way, that's not what you're going to be using that money on. You're not Clear. Yeah. You're now going to have to redo a whole bunch of auditing. Anyway.
And you know what else? You know what else, though, at that time at Flag?
What's that?
And I'm wondering if this is around the similar time with Mary Khan. And I also dug up this old YouTube video of this guy who was only in Scientology for 1 year. I forget his name. He was interviewed by Mark Bunker, and he was a really, athletic, wealthy individual, got interested in Scientology, went all in, was at Flag. And he talks about how he just felt like nothing was about him, at the end of the day. Everything was about the money and the control and the everything but him. It was never about him. And I found his interview fascinating because that's what turns people off. Is it's supposed to be about you, right? And it's not. It's about them and their stats and how much money they can reg, and if they're gonna get to go home tonight and sleep. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah.
And it's consistently that way. It doesn't seem to change because they can't change it because of like those stats that we were just talking about.
Yeah.
you know, they actually cannot change it to make it about people.
That's right. Because they're
Yeah.
stat hungry,
Yeah.
stat motivated.
Yeah.
I love, there was some briefing, some private briefing I was watching from David Miscavage when I was still in the Sea Org, and he ridiculed staff members for being stat motivated. He's like, oh, get your stat fix. And I'm like, motherfucker, who do you think's responsible for that?
Yeah.
Everyone's terrified of the penalties of having their stats down because of you.
Yeah. You're the leader of the band.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's weird. Oh, I had something I wanted to talk about. I have a question.
Yeah.
So, you know how they put a lot of emphasis on out 2Ds, you know?
Mhm.
I hear a lot of stories like getting in trouble for going out 2D this, and a lot of sex checks are about sex and you know, that kind of thing, personal things. And yet the destruction that Scientology does on families should also be considered an out 2D. No?
Yeah. It should be. I mean, for the viewers, out 2D is Scientology slang for basically unethical sexual behavior.
Mm.
And yet the second, and 2D, that's like the number 2 and the letter D. 2D is short for second dynamic, which in family means, which in Scientology means family and sex.
Yeah.
And so you're right. Destroying a family should be considered out 2D. Minimizing familial relationships should be considered out 2D. And yet that's not how it's defined in Scientology.
It's really not. It's all focused on the other, which I find, I don't know, it was somebody you were talking to the other day, and I thought about it, and I was like, that's crazy. Like, why isn't that considered an out 2D about with the families?
Yeah.
You know?
Or how about this? How about this? Because so many things that would be considered bad in the real world are minimized or not considered bad in Scientology because of this belief that we're all immortal spiritual beings who've been around for 60 trillion years, and we're unplugging people from the matrix. And basically, because what we're doing is so virtuous and important, all the bad behaviors, water under the bridge. Like, we're building a world with broken straws. You know, there's meaning the grandness of the mission kind of is used to justify or explain away or minimize the importance of very bad things like infiltrating the government or coercing abortions or all this kind of stuff, right? But you know what? If in the grandness and the importance of the scheme, why are they so obsessed with who's sleeping with who? Why does that matter?
Exactly. So is that part of the cult behavior of having dirt on people, you know, as a way to keep them in? I don't, you know, is that what's happening? Like, why? Why are they obsessed? They're really obsessed with it. I remember being in trouble for all that all the time. And I was just a normal kid, honestly, you know? And nobody ever said to my parents, you know, you're out 2D. You haven't spent any time with your kid. Or, you know.
Or you're like, Danny Masterson raped someone. You're like, oh, we're unplugging people from the matrix. Who cares? You're like, this Sea Org member touched a boob. Up, RPF.
Right. That's what I mean. It's all a protection. Like that's what am I trying to say? That's how you know this is a cult, basically, is that it all goes back to the cult. But it doesn't have anything to do with anything. Not like, what am I trying to articulate here? I hope I'm making sense.
I think you are.
Yeah. It's all like speaking, you know, like as kids, we were told we're not allowed to speak out about the church. That's an instant suppressive act, and you will be declared, and you will lose your family, and you will lose your friends. But they can do whatever they want to us, you know?
Yeah. It's funny. If anything happens, if anything bad happens to a Scientologist, it's what did you do bad to pull this in? But if something bad happens to Scientology, it's the haters are just mad that we're so successful.
Exactly. The dichotomy is unbelievable that nobody can see that.
What
Just makes
what if someone tried to do that in a PTS interview, right? They get into something happens to them, they get a PTS interview, they're like, what did you, whatever the interview questions are. They don't actually say, what did you do to pull this in? There's other questions. But if
yeah.
you're like, I'm just so successful,
I-
the haters are trying to take me down.
No, I think that the question is, have you ever done that to somebody else? Right?
Do you have a similar overt of your own?
Yeah.
No, I'm just so successful.
I'm
The
so
SPs are going stark raving mad.
That's hilarious. Oh my God. That's good. That's really good. Ay, ay, ay.
Signs of success is the name of that policy letter. Whenever we're succeeding, the SPs are going raving mad. Be like, it applies to the organization, but it does. You can't apply it to individuals, apparently.
Apparently not.
Grant Cardone applies it to himself. It's all just the haters and the clickbaiters.
Because he's so successful. He's just
Did you ever know Grant? Did you ever know Grant in Scientology?
No. In fact, I went to a couple of house events that he had many years ago. I didn't click with those kind of people.
Oh, so you did know him?
Well, no, I never met him. Like, I went to a house party that he had.
Oh, okay.
And just like Danny Masterson, I went to a house party he had once, and I just thought, it's not my tribe, not my people. It's, I don't know. So no, I don't know him.
You're a hater, clickbaiter. He's my favorite guy to make fun of because it's so easy.
No, it is. He's such a dum-dum.
That's right. I was recapping how astonishing it is to me that one of the things that was the catalyst for you leaving Scientology is one of the things that in Scientology is supposed to be the greatest thing ever. The L rundowns. And all you were trying to do was go there and get your super expensive L rundown. And they still managed to turn you, like, you have to be pretty gung-ho to want to pay for the L's and go do them. You have to be pretty gung-ho. And they still managed to totally turn you upside down into someone who's like, oh, I'm not doing this shit anymore.
No, I'm done.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they seem to do that a lot from what I can tell. They did it with like Leah. They did it with Mary Khan. They did it with this other guy. I mean, there were people there when I was there who were on their, OT7 sec checks or whatever, that had been there for 3 or 4 months saying, I wish I knew the answer to give so I can go home.
Yeah.
So I could go home.
Yeah. Oh, I know what we've got to talk about. We've got to take a little bit of a segue here.
Yeah.
I haven't been able to talk to a ton of people who've done their OT levels. Particularly people of my generation-ish. So as someone growing up, a good little Scientologist, you grew up, when you got onto OT3 and you're learning about Xenu for the first time, are you like, oh, this is the greatest? Or are you like, WTF is this shit?
WTF. WTF and 100 times. It was like, you get it, you're at a table, the pack is plugged in to the desk so that if you unplug it, an alarm goes off. You've been waiting your whole life to know this information. Everyone talks about how amazing it is, and just wait till you get there and you're just going to be blown away. Your mind's going to be blown away. And you're sitting there and there's this handwritten, scribbled note from Hubbard about the Xenu story. And, you feel like you're being pranked. Like, is this a litmus test? Like, is this real? And then when you find out it is real, and I remember having some questions, like, I need answers to some things. Can I see for example, can I see a map
of the volcanoes?
Yeah, I want to see a map. Like, and I want to see, I need some more proof. It was like, no, you don't need to do that. You don't need to know that. You need to just read it. Here's the process on how to do it, and just go do it. But I'm like, well, I don't, how would I know that these volcanoes exist if I can't look at them on a map? Well, just do the thing. Just don't ignore that. Like, ignore your logic and your normal question and just focus on the thing. The volcanoes aren't important.
Now, so I never did the OT levels when I was in Scientology, but one of the things I've tried to explain, and I want to get your input on this, is that in the context of everything Scientologists already believe, it's not that the Xenu story itself would be like a stretch for a Scientologist. For
Not at all.
me, I've always felt that what's a stretch is that this is the magical shit you've been waiting your entire life for. Like, this ain't that magical. This is just the same kind of shit he always says.
Yeah, but I think what it also does is, because of the shroud of secrecy and the mystery and all the hoops you jump through to get there, when you're finally there, you feel special. You know, there's I finally made it here. I must be special. And
Yes.
then you think of all the people that you know that have done it. And then you go, well, if they did it and they're all blown away, I must do it too. And I must be blown away, because otherwise I'm doing something wrong or something, you know. But to know about the all the little body thetans that are attached to you and on your eyelashes and your toes, and it's crazy town. So you know,
as
it's an
someone who went through that,
exorcism. It's an exorcism. Yeah.
it is an exorcism.
Yeah.
Was there any part of it you found fun, interesting, or helpful?
God, no one's ever asked me that. That's bizarre. I don't know why that freaks me out that you just said that, because no one has ever asked me that.
Well, I'll
And
tell you why. I've interviewed a few people. Two that come to mind is, well, Joey Chait, who you might know. Do you know Joey?
I do. Yes.
And Mary Kahn.
Yes.
Where even Joey, and Joey doesn't believe in Scientology anymore. And I'll have to rewatch the interview, make sure I'm not misquoting him. I think he said, I actually had a lot of fun on OT3. It was fun. I felt like I got some stuff out of it. And I remember asking him for specifics, and he might have given me some, but I forget what they are. But I don't want to misquote Joey or Mary, but I feel like some people
I've
are like,
seen that
no.
interview. I've seen it, and I know what he's talking about. So there is definitely you're doing it silently. You're locating these beings on you, and you're basically tone 40ing them off you. You know, go away, be clear, fly away and then you run them through the incidents. You know, there is something like, I definitely had some euphoria. I can't explain why or how, but I definitely experienced some sort of euphoric feeling or sensation, whether it's physically or spiritually, or I wouldn't even know. Like, it could have just been as powerful as that camping trip, to be honest, you know, like that.
That's
right. That's all I can equate it to, honestly.
Did you ever ask the OT3 course supervisor, if this is where all these body thetans came from and this is the incident, then where did all of us normal thetans come from? If the body thetans that got blown up in the volcanoes,
no, because that's the GPM or whatever, there's different forms of thetans, and we're a different form of thetans. Do you remember Clay demoing that? Like, it's on the solo. It's been a long time, but there's like there's the basic thetan, which is us.
No, I've never heard of this.
No, something like in the 88008. Like, go talk to somebody who's done it recently.
I've read 88008. It ain't no different types of thetans.
Isn't there? I feel like there is. No?
But hold on. This specific question is what I mean. If the thetans that got blown up in the volcanoes had to be tricked, frozen, implanted, and flown here, and then blown up in the volcanoes, then where did all the other thetans who didn't get blown up in the volcanoes come from?
It's a great question.
How did we get here exactly?
Hey,
And
man, that's a great question. Where we came from the ocean in clams. I don't know.
we all came from Reese's Ice Cube.
Yeah, we all came down with Reese.
Because I do remember what happened?
This is dying. Can I take these out and still hear you?
Are you wearing 2 right now or just 1?
Yeah, should I just do
Yeah, put
charge
the other
1?
one in. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, there we go.
I only wear 1 so that I can hear myself when I talk.
Oh, whoa, hello.
And so, but here's the thing. I do remember in random lectures or R&D volumes, there's, the Thetans dropping, or maybe it was History of Man, the Ice Cube incidents.
History of Man. Yeah, History of Man. Yeah.
And you're
but
like,
hold
okay.
on, I feel like there was the prime mover, or what was all that about? You remember
the prime mover unmoved is just the Thetan, or the prime mover, or whatever.
Okay, but it's also like saying, how come? Do you remember the special Thetans that would come down? What were they called? The royal.
Oh, the Markabian invader forces. Invader forces.
Yeah,
the 5th invader force, the Markabians.
Yeah, but there's the royal. You're the royal. Something, and he was like, if you ever find somebody who is a royal lieutenant of this,
a loyal officer.
Yeah, a loyal officer. I have to be notified immediately because they're rare and they're special, and I need them back.
So, but those aren't special Thetans. They're just different, like alien races or whatever.
Are they? Or are they?
Well, but I mean, like, for example, like, a loyal officer would have just been whatever Thetan was occupying the body that was the loyal office, one of the loyal officers. Like, it's not that loyal officer is a type of Thetan. It's that I think it was the loyal officers in the Galactic Federation helped capture and imprison Xenu in the prison in the Himalaya Mountains. We should go for a hike in the Himalayas sometime.
Let's
and try
do
to
it.
find
Let's go
Xenu.
camping. Let's go camping in the Himalayas and see if we can track him down.
There needs to be a reality show. Instead of finding Bigfoot, it's got to be finding Xenu.
Let's do it. Oh my God. I love this idea. Hilarious. I forget where the basic Thetan came from. Who knows? Maybe, I mean, look, the guy's a science fiction writer. Let's not get too deep here.
Well, no, I mean, the body Thetans are basically regular Thetans that got blown up in volcanoes in the with the hydrogen bombs. But they're still the same Thetans, but they're extra fucked up Thetans. So then where did all of us normal, not extra fucked up Thetans come from then?
Where's the Thetan that we're auditing, telling them to get lost from? You mean like that? Yeah.
How did we get here? How come we didn't have to get flown here on DC planes and frozen in glycol?
You know what? Let's do a camping trip to the Himalayas. Let's go find out, because I really couldn't tell you, man.
Xenu has the answers.
Xenu, where are you when we need you?
Someone sent me this photo and I posted it to my community tab on YouTube. It was this a shipping container. It was a shipping container in a snowy area. And they have like serial numbers on them, and it was like ... and in the middle of the serial number it said Xenu, and I was like, folks, amazing. We found him.
He just got dropped there from an ice cube into the. He's back. Look out, guys! He's back. Yeah, what happened to him anyway? I forget.
He's in an electronic prison in the Himalayas.
Oh, he is. Cool.
With like an eternal battery or something.
I'm so glad that's where he is, Aaron.
And why would they send him here?
I know. Why not send him to Target 2 so Hubbard can deal with him?
Right. And when they sent him here, why didn't they blow his ass up in a volcano? Why'd they put him in a prison in the Himalayas? I mean, that's come on.
What about Xenu's BTs?
That's right. Now that Xenu's on Earth, he's got his own BTs. That means Xenu, in order to get rid of his BTs, has to join Scientology.
He does.
So yeah,
let's go get him. We'll go recruit him.
Good luck auditing out that guy's evil purposes. Oh my, he'd never qualify for the OT levels.
Oh my God, hilarious! It's hilarious. Oh, we're jokers and degraders, Aaron.
So hey, let's
yeah.
fast forward a little bit here on what's the deal with your relationship with your parents. Are you declared? I mean, there's been a lot of weirdness. I mean, I know some of the story. You don't have to go through the whole thing, but we've talked a lot about your parents here. We've talked a lot about well, I guess we didn't really talk about how you actually left Scientology. So the L10 thing happened, the daycare thing happened. Did you like officially publicly depart Scientology at one point, or what happened?
No, literally, I was trying to be under the radar, and I just every time the phone rang or recruiter, I just say I'm busy raising my kid. I don't have time. I was also going through a divorce, so that was a really great excuse not to go in. Just too busy, and then oddly enough, the first sort of shitstorm that happened was the Facebook police. So that my girlfriend Chrissy Waitman, who used to be Chrissy Perlman, she got declared.
I know Chrissy. I know Chrissy.
Yeah, we go back. We're been friends forever.
Yeah.
So she got declared, and apparently it was all her fault. Like she was the reason I was disaffected. It had nothing to do with her, but they have to have someone to blame other than me, I guess. And then eventually with the Facebook police, I just had to tell my parents and everybody else, like, I'm not cutting Chrissy off. I've known Chrissy forever, and she's an SP to you or whatever, but she's not an SP to me. Like, I just won't do it. And they're like, can you just do it to keep up appearances so that, it's not, can you hide her, and I just couldn't do that. I just was like, no, I'm a pretty straightforward person. I'm not going to do it. And then I forget what happened, but I don't know if I got declared. I did get declared. I got declared before I did a show with Leah that she had, her reality show that she did.
Just her family. Was it? Oh, geez, what was it called? But I know what you mean.
Yeah. Okay. I did an episode with her on that, but I'd already been declared. So I can't recall what I got declared for. And I don't remember. I told this to Tony Ortega. I'm like full blown amnesia on why I got declared. And I even asked my father, like, what does my declare say? You've read it. And he said some really bizarre things were in it. Like when I was 12, I got a hold of this calling card number that I don't know if you were around when calling cards were a big deal, but
calling cards and beepers.
Yeah. And I used to call Australia, and somebody had been like, here's a number. You can always call your grandparents and you can always call Australia. So I would like dial in like 5,000 numbers on a payphone and spend hours trying to call home. And I guess they found out that the bill or whoever's was stolen and someone to give it to me. So I'm a suppressive for that, at 12 or 13 for this calling card. And I think Facebook, I don't know, man. I wish I knew. I wish I could see it. I would die.
I feel like when we were chatting many months ago, you remembered what it was. And I don't remember what you remembered.
Okay. Well, when I remember, I will make note.
If I remember what you remembered, I'll let you know.
It was pretty traumatic. I got to tell you.
Because I remember we were talking about this, and I was like, well,
and I was like,
because you mentioned you thought it was the reality show, which, by the way, it was called "It's All Relative."
That's it. So
and
I'd
we were
already
talking
been
about
declared.
it, and you're like, "No, I was already declared." And shoot, I don't remember.
I will remember. See, that's
okay.
what
So
trauma and
you
amnesia
never had
does.
like some big like
Comev or whatever.
So, but even after you were declared, it's not like you were now running around, going on programs and, Anderson Cooper and Pierce Morgan or writing books.
No,
or like that.
literally had to actually really just take care of my mental health, and my daughter's was, take care of my daughter. I fell apart. I'm not going to lie. It was the most traumatic thing, finding out that I've been declared a suppressive. And, as a young kid, I used to think suppressives were the evil monsters that live under the bed, and they're the boogeyman, and they're really gross and they're really bad. And so to be told that I was one, and that my entire family, all my friends, would just disconnect from me.
And so did your
Because
mom and your dad
Yeah, they
did they,
yeah.
initiate the we're disconnecting from you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
And you don't remember what led to it? Too
I'll
much
ask
LSD, Trish. Way too much LSD.
Well, that's the groovy thing about it, is you don't remember everything. Mm.
Oh,
I will
if anyone out
remember.
there has a copy of Trish's SP Declare, send it to me at
Oh, yes,
growingupinScientology@gmail.com.
please. Yes,
I
please.
gotta see all this juiciness.
That would be awesome. Yeah, so then what happened? Oh, that I got to tell you, that was a rough period of my life. It really, the fact that once again my parents have chosen Scientology over me and over family really it affected me more than I thought it would. It hit hard. Not gonna lie, it was awful. And so I ended up picking up and moving to Northern California. I bought like 3 acres of land and lived in the woods, and I grew vegetables, and I just had chickens and some other stuff, and I just chilled out, separate from all the Scientology noise, from the family noise, from everything. I just really needed some really big distance from everything that had been going on. It was a lot.
About what year would you estimate you were declared?
2008 or 9, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe
What
10.
was that year you went to do the L's at a flag, the L10 flag?
Oh, must have been 2006, 2005,
Okay.
6.
So do you feel, just remembering back, were you declared before the whole truth rundown articles in the Tampa Bay Times where Mike and Marty and Tom DeVocht and Jeff Hawkins and all these people were like speaking out for the first time?
Before.
And I'm asking them because that was 2009. So just using that as a frame of reference.
I can't believe I'm literally drawing just such a blank.
That's
I'm
okay.
gonna remember.
LSD is a hell of a drug.
It is. Like, it's really mind-opening.
Okay, so 2008. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I got declared, moved
You've been
away.
declared a long time. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, I have.
yeah.
And then in about 2019, 2018, I want to say, my sister had recently moved back to Australia, and our parents had gotten in touch with her, and my father didn't reach out to me, but reached out to my sister and said, I want to reach out to Trish. And one day I just get a call that he's on a plane to this place where I lived in Northern California, and he's going to show up. And it freaked me out a little bit, I got to tell you, because I didn't know if it was like another handling, if it's a thing, if it's a real genuine parental thing, or what's happening. And so I just told him that I would meet him at this little coffee shop. It's a really small little town where I moved. And there he was. And it was, in the beginning, it was just fabulous. It was like seeing your father. It was crying and hugging, and just, it was amazing. And it was gut-wrenching. And then, unfortunately, the whole time he just wanted to handle me to not be declared. And I said, I'm not going to do the A to J, A to
E, A to J's.
The other
A
one,
to
yeah.
J is the potential sources of trouble interview. A to E is the steps
Yeah.
to get back into good standing with Scientology.
Yeah, I was like, "Look, I'm just not gonna do it. So, if you wanna have a relationship with me under the radar, let's do it." And so we did that for a few years where
Mm.
we secretly, had a relationship, but it became too hard because everything literally is just wanting you're not really talking to your father or your parent. You're talking to a Scientologist who's trying to recover you. And I couldn't do it anymore. You know, just couldn't do it anymore. So my sister and I uh, sent a letter to them saying we're disconnecting from you, even though they were. I know it sounds complicated. It's
Well,
just
you
too
already
hard.
declared.
Yeah, I hadn't had a relationship with them for a really long time. So then we were doing this under the radar, trying to rekindle our family,
Mm.
which I really wanted. I really, really, really wanted that. Unfortunately, you you can't. It's impossible when you're dealing with it can't be a human thing, it can't be a parental thing, it can't be a family thing. It's always comes back to a Scientology thing, which just is not, I don't know, it's not a relationship that I want to have. Conditional, I guess is the word. Conditional family if you uh aren't declared. You don't have to be a Scientologist, but you just can't be declared.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. They want you to go through all the hoops to get back into the good graces of Scientology. And then after going through all that trouble, it's okay. Just don't be a Scientologist. And it's like, then why did it matter that I had to jump through all those hoops?
Well, not only that, but to jump through the hoops, you have to be a Scientologist to do
Yeah.
those steps.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You can't do those not pretending to be I mean, I don't know exactly what the steps are, but I'm sure they're all Scientological. So yeah, my sister and I don't have a relationship with them at all, and it's sad because my mom is 86 now, and I believe she's starting.
She's 86.
Mhm.
Wow.
80s, 80 in her 80s, yeah. And I think she's, developing dementia, which I don't think anyone will admit, but when I saw her last, it seemed to me that's what was happening. And my dad's 76 and he's firing on all cylinders. He left the Sea Org and is living out in the real world and still being a Scientologist and making money.
Wow.
But has no relations with their kids, except Gary, my brother, who's at Gold, who does Skype chats that are monitored. So,
Wow.
they don't say, "How is Trish?" or, "Are there any news on Trish?" Like, you don't say that word. It's.
What did your dad, that time that you were basically kind of secretly in touch with your dad for a few years, were you also in touch with your mom?
Yeah. But my mom she was not like I feel like she's been going downhill mentally for a long time. Not engaging in conversations, sort of starting to, you know, she'd had a stroke, it's probably a bit of dementia. It's not a very engaging, she's confused a lot,
I see. That's a shame.
Yes. Yeah.
The reason I was asking if it was your mom as well is, did they say what motivated them to, after all those years of you being declared, to finally be willing to at least have a secret relationship with you?
Yeah, I was always suspicious of that. If it was genuine or if it was orchestrated by OSA, I didn't know. And I was always tiptoeing around that because, which is awful. It's hard, it's awful to think that your parents could be infiltrating you for some other reason. right? It's a terrible feeling. But he just always thought that I was not a suppressive person and that it was an injustice and that he wanted it fixed and that he tried everything he could. He fought for me. He had binders and binders of paperwork and policy letters that he'd made to prove that I wasn't a suppressive person. And in fact, when I first talked out was after he was secretly talking to me. Like I'd never talked out. I'd never done anything publicly. I was just I kept my friends, but like, come on, who's going to give a about having some friends? Like, I guess that's a big deal to have friends that are suppressive too, but I never did anything. And then this happened and it was like, you know what? My mouth is open now. I have to scream about this. It's just so horrible what the church does to us and all the other people that I've seen you interview.
Yeah.
And it's an atrocity.
What happened after you told them you were disconnecting from them?
Nothing. I didn't hear anything.
Oh,
I think my sister heard a text saying, oh, she's been gotten by the SPs. That's okay. We'll get her another time.
We'll pick her up next. We'll pick her up next lifetime,
or this lifetime, or some other time. They'll figure out a way to handle me. I don't know.
Jeez,
I don't know what they think. I mean, I'm sure they would just love to handle me and get me back in. It's never gonna happen.
Did your dad have to admit that he had stooped as low as to be secretly in touch with you for all that time?
Yeah, well, that was the other thing. I was betrayed again. Like I flew out to Australia a couple of years ago to see them because I was told my mother wasn't well and it might be the last time that I would ever see her. And I originally didn't want to go. And then a friend of mine, bless her heart, who's not a Scientologist, just a beautiful human. And she said, you'll regret it if you don't see your mother before she dies. So be the bigger person, go and see her. And I did. And those 10 days that I spent in Australia were literally the worst 10 days of my life. Was just horrible. And to see my mother so deteriorated was alarming. I hadn't seen her in a long time. And the fact that I was still being pressured to just handle my declare rather than like, let's be a family of being real. Like, let's just, who cares about Scientology? Let's just do family things. It couldn't even happen. I'm sorry, you asked me a question and I totally forgot what it was specifically.
Oh, it was whether he had to, go admit that he had been in touch.
Oh, yeah. So as soon as I
daughter.
left Australia, I was in tears. I told my dad I don't want to see him again. This was horrible. And he said, what can I do to make it right? What can I do? Please, honey, don't do this. And I said, well, for starters, you can watch all of Leah's shows. Start there. Go on the internet, do your own homework of all the things that I've been telling you about. Watch Going Clear, read Debbie Cook's letter, et cetera, et cetera. That's what you can do for me right now. And then he did. He would call me from Australia and we would discuss everything he just discovered or read or watched.
Wow.
And then I could hear him starting to fizzle out, not as excited to call me and talk about it. And then one day Liz said to me, Dad just went down to AO and spilled the beans that he's been seeing you. He told Kate, he told Cherie, he told the MAA, told everyone. And that he'd been watching all this stuff. And again, it was just another fucking betrayal. Another betrayal.
Wow.
So,
when you talk about basically having to disconnect from your parents who'd already previously disconnected from you,
why?
It reminds me of other stories. No, it reminds me of other stories. I think even I just run the risk of getting people's stories wrong, but I think Liz Gale at one point that the
I heard that.
relationship
It was
with
through strength.
the Scientology parents was just so toxic, of constantly being made to feel like they're almost doing you a favor by even talking to you or whatever, you know?
Well, there was that, and also there was he, they would go and see my sister all the time, like, we're gonna go have lunch. And there was a point where they were disconnected from me again after they went to the AO and confessed. And then my sister would be like, Mom and Dad, I just had lunch with them. And I said, that sucks. That you get to go have lunch with them and I'm not allowed to. What makes us so different? This is ridiculous.
She's not declared?
No.
She's not even declared for being connected to you?
Nope.
See, that's just like, there's no rhyme or reason to the rules anymore.
Exactly. And that was bothering me. And I said, Liz, like, it hurts my heart that they're going about round playing happy family with you and not with me. It's like they want to make me feel so bad that I'll come crawling back to Scientology, or I'll want to do my A to E so I can be a part of the family. But the truth is, it's disgusting behavior and I don't like it. And so she took a stand with me. And that's when we both decided to do Tony's, come out on Tony, because we were united then. And that we both were going to not talk to them anymore because it was too upsetting. It's just so upsetting. Yeah, like I think Liz Gale did the same thing. It's just it's not organic. It's not a natural relationship. Even if they were, Christians or Catholics, and we're like, you do you. We're just going to go to church. It's not the same. It's very black or white, and then gray when it suits them. I don't know.
So did your sister never do Scientology?
Not really. No.
So she's okay because she was never in, but you're bad because you were in and then left.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Hey, Aaron.
What?
I gotta go to the bathroom. Can we pause?
Oh yeah, we can take a pause. I'll do some questions while I'll pull you.
All right, I'll be right.
All right. All right. Let's see. While she's gone, I see this. I'm going to ask this question when she gets back. Let's see. I saw something else. Where did it go? There was I saw a new member I was going to say hi to, but now it just disappeared. I wonder if I accidentally clicked on it. Let's see. Okay, I got a whole bunch of starred things here. Blake Reed says, God, I hate Scientology. It's like a ragweed. You can't get rid of it quick enough. And it just sits there mocking you, making everything around it ugly. I like the analogy. Grandma Matilda, goodness, Scientology loves their abbreviations. CMO, EPF, RPF, AOLA, EIEIO. Yes. Okay, good. Trish is back. Hello.
Yeah. Hi, I like that. EIEIO.
Oh, that's the one I was looking for. Welcome, Rachel, as a new member. Real quick, this question came up earlier, and I was going to save it for later, but we'll just throw it up there. Was the daycare run by Anne Zanier?
No.
Okay. All right.
No. Do you want me to say the name?
Oh, sure.
Her name was Bridget Gerhold. Bridget's Daycare, it was called.
Okay. Yeah. If anyone has any stories about Bridget's Daycare that you want to discuss with me, you can email me at growingupinscientology@gmail.com. Calling out Scientology's cover-up of pedophiles is one of my favorite things to do. Now, I wonder if it's a little dicey that the kid was underage. I don't know. I guess I've never been in
I
that
have no
territory.
problem saying his name either.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Nathan Gerhold.
Nathan Gerhold.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
I'm just going to see. not a very popular name on Facebook.
Are you spelling it right?
Gerhold?
Yeah, I think there might be a T. DT maybe, if I remember correctly.
Wow. That name is practically non-existent if there's a T at the end. But that's okay. That's all right. So this all happened just a couple years ago. This final disconnection with your parents.
Mm-hmm. Actually,
Wow.
no, it happened a year ago.
That recently.
Well, with the letter, yeah.
Mm.
With my sister and I, like I was disconnected for about, again, a year and a half, 2 years. But they were still talking to my sister. And then we both sent the letter in July of last year. So that's how recent that was.
Wow.
Yeah, and we just heard nothing at all. Not a peep.
Did that bring you peace or
Yeah.
more happiness or more upset?
Oh, incredible peace and relief. Honestly, it's hard to reconcile because my whole thing is about family. Like I'm a very strong mother. I'm very dedicated to that to that job. Family was always very important to me. So to know that I've been chasing that from people that never really wanted it seemed psychotic, I guess, on my part. Like, why do I keep wanting this? Why do I keep needing this? Why do I keep trying to be a part of these people's lives who I don't know. It'll drive you crazy. So I feel like now it's done. I can move on. I can process the trauma properly from it all and just sign off and be like, okay, well, I don't really have parents, so that's fine. I know that
It's crazy to, just the idea that Scientology has managed to like strip away or seems to have stripped away the parental instincts of so many people.
That's
is
why it's
hard
dangerous.
to fathom.
It is hard to fathom, and that's what makes it so dangerous. Is I see story after story from you and other channels and just people in my own life who have all experienced the same thing, that our parents, I mean, Jenny last night, when like my heart broke when I heard her say that she needed her mom and she was sitting on a bench in Boston, I think, and her mom kept looking at her watch, just couldn't give her the time of day because she had to go get a stat up or something. I mean, Scientology breaks people. And that, to me, especially when it comes to the parent thing. And I guess it's because they think we're just all a bunch of Thetans and we're not really children anyway. And we're just, I don't know how they justify it. Even if you believe all that, there is something, even in the animals that are in our planet, there is an innate nature and nurture of families. And I don't see it from Scientology parents. It's alarming.
And this carries over to not even just Sea Org members, but even public Scientologists. And I'm going to say it in this regard. Could you imagine, after all the auditing you experienced as a Scientologist, could you imagine having your own kids and convincing them or being excited if they were to do, at the age of 12, professional auditor training, like knowing what gets dealt with in auditing sessions, knowing the dynamic of an auditing session where you're not allowed to leave, the auditor's not allowed to refuse to audit the person, the kind of stuff that your child as a Scientology auditor would have to hear and do and listen to and experience and put up with. What parental instincts, how much do your parental instincts have to have been stripped away to be like, oh yeah, I want my 12 or 13-year-old to do auditor training or to join the Sea Org or whatever? Because who's sending their kids to join the Sea Org? Public Scientologists. Where's the parental
Exactly.
instinct?
It's I can't explain it. It's actually a mystery to me that Hubbard was able to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just I want to say it's like hypnosis almost. Like these people are hypnotized to the point where they don't feel it anymore. They don't feel or they do, but they're made to feel wrong about it, or they're feeling, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fascinating question, Aaron. I wish I knew the answer because I don't get it.
I really do feel like it's one of the most major destructive aspects of Scientology is
It is
the destruction of the family unit in many different ways.
100%. 100%. And that's why I'm talking to you. Honestly. It has to stop. It can't be allowed to continue. I mean, I know that there are a lot of other children who grow up in really rough circumstances and from abusive situations, and life isn't always grand. But what I've noticed with my long-term friends and who were raised and grew up the same way I was, there's a different kind of scar tissue on us that we can't let it go for some reason because of the brainwash. Like I just watched this program. It's called, I think it's called The Program. Have you seen it?
I've heard all about it.
And I got to tell
I
you,
haven't seen it yet.
You got to watch it. Like there's this scene where they're telling the girls, first of all, they've been sent away to a boarding school for bad kids, just like the ranch or whatever. But they were doing this. A friend of mine pointed it out that there's this exercise that they're making these kids do, going palms up, palms down, palms above your head, palms up, palms down, palms above your head. And they have to do it for hours until they just will obey. Till they were obeying. And I think of the TRs. When you sit there, it's like there's an obey, like a, I don't know, hypnotic thing.
The TRs and even the CCHs, maybe even more so.
Exactly. Thank you. Those are hypnotic. And it's the same thing as this palms up, palms down thing. It's like a straight up technique about hypnosis and how to control people and how to get people to do what you need them to do. And so maybe, I know my parents have been, I wonder, they've been in Scientology my whole life. I just turned 51 yesterday. And so they've been in for that long, maybe even longer before I was born. And that's a lot of hypnosis or a lot of, I don't know,
Let's give the people an example of just how crazily hypnotic and similar to the example you were just giving some of the CCHs are. Here's just one. What? Barb?
What was that?
My moderator's in the back starring comments.
Oh.
She accidentally brought it up on the screen. Okay. CCH it stands for communication, control, and havingness. I don't want to define havingness.
Yeah.
And it's a kind of auditing process, an objectives auditing process, which means auditing processes that you comply with physically as opposed to doing mental subjective auditing. There's one CCH that is literally just you and I sitting across from each other in chairs. You have your hands in your lap. I have my hands in my lap. And if I'm the auditor, the entire auditing process is you give me that hand. And then you give me your hand. I say, thank you. And then I put your hand back in your lap. I say, you give me that hand. And if you don't give it to me, then I just grab it. And I say, thank you. And I put it back in your lap. And we do this over and over for hours.
Hours and hours. Yeah, that's gotta be a hypnosis technique.
Compliance,
What's the other one? It's like
hypnosis.
make the ashtray stand up. What's that one?
Well, that's it. That's TRA. That's not a CC.
Okay.
That's not a. That's
Oh, okay.
But
Or stand up. Thank you. Sit down in that chair. Like the video that we just heard, Wally.
yeah,
He's like, sit down in that chair, Marco. You know, it's like, stand up. Thank you. Sit down. Stand. Yeah. And you do it for
those
hours.
are the commands that you give to the ashtray.
Yeah.
There's dozens and dozens and dozens, if not hundreds, of CCH. There's like
yeah.
at least a dozen CCH processes.
Oh, you're right. I just did never mind. You're right. You're more
Yeah.
ordered to train than me.
But ironically,
CCH.
I never did the CCHs.
Hey, you got lucky.
I never did the objectives.
I don't know how you pulled that off.
Because I didn't have a drug history at that time, and my OCA was above the center line. And back then, they let you skip the purif, they let you skip objectives, they let you skip the drug rundown.
You're superhuman. See, you're the original Thetan, Aaron.
The original Thetan. I'm still loving the fact that you said there's multiple types of Thetans.
I thought there was not that there's multiple, but there's a basic. Right? Isn't there? I don't know. I'm gonna have
like a god?
Yeah.
Like
kind
one
of.
Thetan? A big Thetan? That's Tom Cruise, baby.
Oh yeah, sorry, Tom. Sorry, TC. No, I thought we were God. Like we're God.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
We are all the original Theta.
We're the OGs.
The OGOTs.
OG.
Okay,
Yeah.
so ever since you officially disconnected and whatever, you haven't had any like I don't know, nothing like new and terrible has happened since then.
No, it's been great. Honestly. Yeah. I mean, it's sad, but I don't think even if something happened and they left the Scientology and they decided let's get the family back together and let's fix it, I wouldn't be interested then either. Like the damage is too far done, and I've cultivated my life around my friends or my family, and I have the best friends.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah,
great.
and I've got my gorgeous daughter and my ex-husband. I'm good. I'm good with the family.
That's great.
Yeah.
It seems like when all the people who are under the radar in Scientology leave, I mean, the place would just be gutted and decimated. I mean, Scientology has been dying a slow death for quite a while now.
I really hope that's true. It seems like it. I really wish the under the radars could get out from the radar. I know it's hard because of the family connections and the work and all kinds of other reasons. Like it's like you're a tick that you can't get out. Speaking of Lyme's disease, which you just said earlier about that chiropractor, it's like that. But I got to tell you that it's worth every piece of yourself to do it if you can. Just be done and walk away, because Scientology is not worth protecting, I guess. It's just not. In the beginning, I was like, they can be Scientologists and they can do their own thing and doesn't have to interfere with anything, but it does, and it always has, and it always will. And as much as we think and hope that it won't, it can't thrive like that.
Yeah.
It cannot survive sunlight, which sucks.
Yeah.
Be nice if it could.
I was under the radar for so long and never really had any desire to not be under the radar. See, the thing is, being under the radar is like, technically you're not still in Scientology. You're just not declared. Like,
right.
They haven't declared you yet, and you're trying not to do anything be declared, but you're not active. You're not actually like a Scientology. Like It's not like I was going on course or getting auditing. I mean, I wasn't even allowed. I wasn't even allowed on the base. They knew this dude's up to no good. I just wasn't declared.
When did you get declared? Sorry.
Like March 2014-ish.
Okay.
And even then, it's like, Jesus, that's been 10 years already. The time really does fly as we get older.
Yeah.
But like, I basically started being under the radar in 2009. So, you know, that's like 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess what I'm saying there is, I was so convinced of that it was the right thing to do to continue to be under the radar. That there was no part of me that's like, oh, I should put plans in motion. I should get a job that doesn't rely on Scientology. I guess I never thought that I could get a job outside of the Scientology ecosystem that would pay me what I was making inside the Scientology ecosystem, because I felt that only people in the ecosystem would value the skills that I had, because no one in Scientology, no one in the ecosystem cares what your education is. They care about competence. They care about your Scientology production record. They care about all that stuff.
Yeah, that's a really, really big point, Aaron. Massive point.
Yeah. So if I thought I could have made as much money outside of the ecosystem, I probably would have put steps into motion, but it never occurred to me that I could.
But then you did.
Alert. Oh, I mean, the next month after I was declared, I was making multiple times already what I was making.
Yeah.
I mean, but you see, I never grew up with a mentor that was like an entrepreneur or whatever. Like, I didn't grow up, you know, my parents, I didn't really grow up with much of a father figure. Like, it never even occurred to me that, oh, going into business for yourself is the natural progression. That's what you should do. Like, that's the normal thing. Like, I think people who grow up with parents that are business owners grow up to be business owners, because you have you're emulating, you know, your role models.
Yeah.
I never had that.
Wait, do you still have a relationship with your mother?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
She's out of Scientology.
Okay.
And my father, I've got a good relationship with my father as well, but we didn't grow up with him. Like, my parents were never married. And so we were living on the East Coast. He was living we would visit him in the summers in Minnesota. So I've got so what was my, I was talking about under the radars.
Yeah.
The best thing for under the radars to do is to line up income that has nothing to do with Scientology, so that can't be taken away from you when it's time to leave. They don't have that leverage over you.
It's true. And I was fortunate enough to have that too when I left.
Yeah.
It does make a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even then, what would still be keeping me in was my wife's family. By the way, Heather texted me and said, "Tell Trish I said hi and give her my love."
Tell her I said hello. It's been forever. Please tell her a big hello from me.
I will. Well, she's probably watching.
Good. Hi.
And so I guess I'm being long-winded about this. I feel bad. I don't even know that I could say with a straight face that the under the radars, what they really should do is come out from under the radar, because I feel like there is value. There's value. They have value in the ecosystem. Although it could be soul crushing and destroying, but you know me, I'm a weirdo. Like, that wasn't soul crushing. Being in the ecosystem for me as like an under the radar spy, that was not soul crushing and destroying. I relished every moment of that.
Oh, you're talking about under the radar spies. I'm just talking about people that don't challenge the status quo, with people who are like, I'm not on course anymore, but I'm still a Scientologist, or I'm not.
Oh,
I mean, like that. I'm not getting auditing right now. Can't really afford it, but I'm still a Well, I don't know, but they're really not. They really don't want to be, you know? Yeah. And, I mean, I understand it. I just think, I don't know. Look, I can't live anybody else's life but my own. I just think it's better to be authentic about your stuff. I mean, that doesn't even mean to like speak out even, but like when I was telling my dad, like, I will never do A to J or E or whatever. I will never be a Scientologist again. Like, here are the, you know, the abuses and da 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 da. Look, maybe other people do it. I don't know. and I should just shut up. I just feel like it's liberating, is all I'm trying to say. It's great out here in the world where you can
It's
live
true.
your life.
It
And
is. It
it's
is.
fabulous. The people that you meet and the caring, loving people and all those things. That's all
Yeah.
I mean.
In the chat that I did with Natalie a couple hours ago, we were talking about things that are actually really horrible and weird in the real world, but that get normalized to us as Scientologists. And when you said it's great out here, I couldn't help but thinking, yeah, living a life where your closest friends are not secretly reporting you to the organization.
Exactly. Oh my God, Aaron, I have just rekindled and with my old roommate. Hi, honey, if you're watching, you know I'm talking about you. We were roommates when we were younger together, and the first time she reached out to me, she's like, "I heard you weren't a Scientologist anymore." This was a few years ago, and I was like, "Let's go to dinner." And I was like, "Are you wearing a wire? Like, are you spying on me?" And she was just saying, like, "I was so freaked out that you said that." And I was like, "But I was thinking that was what was happening." It's hilarious. Are you wearing a wire?
I mean, spouses
Yeah, because
writing reports on
the
spouses,
snitch
kids writing.
culture. Yeah, being out here, being yourself, being able to communicate and say whatever it is your heart desires without fear of repercussions or tattletales and ethics handlings and all the things is amazing.
Sometimes you can still get ComEv'd out here, though.
You can. Uh-oh. I better be careful.
Sorry.
I've
that was
never
an
been
inside
ComEv'd,
joke.
actually. I've never been
Oh,
ComEv'd.
really?
No,
Wow.
not
Yeah,
to my
they
knowledge.
skipped ComEv and went right to declare.
Yeah, that's why I was so pissed. I was like, where's my ethics gradients at least?
Did Nathan Gerholt have a sister named Stephanie?
Yes.
There you go.
She was very sweet.
There you go.
She was a very sweet girl.
Well, hey, this has been fun.
Yeah.
Oh, your cat's the star of the show back there.
Yeah. It's the cat hour. Oh my gosh.
Well, Trish, you're one of the few people that come on here that don't already have their own channel.
Yeah, I don't.
So there's no channel to promote. But you know what that does mean is that if you ever have any stories or anecdotes or topics that you want to discuss, you got to come here or on any of the other many channels to talk about it. So let me know if you ever do want to.
I will hit you up. And we've broken the ice today. So that's great.
Yeah. It wasn't so scary once we got started, right?
No, I stopped shaking. Definitely. Definitely chilled out. It's been awesome.
Well, Barb in the back office has starred 36 different comments.
Ooh.
We won't go through all these because they're not, I mean, sometimes, anyway, let's just tackle a few of them. How about that?
Yeah.
Cascade, what was the first activity you both bought or did coming out of Scientology that you couldn't do before?
Ooh. I bought a Range Rover and I went to Hawaii. Does that count?
It counts in my book. I went skydiving.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. Oh, Thetan Buster. You did the absolute perfect thing for yourself by taking that nature break out from the business of people. Good for you. Did it help you? Any regrets? I'm not sure I understand this. What, taking a nature break out from the business of people? Do you understand this?
Out from the business of people. Oh, meaning like when I went away and moved away on my own just to do my own thing, I wonder. Up in Northern California, maybe. I'm not sure.
Oh yeah, maybe.
And yeah, nature never has anything bad to do to you. Nature is always awesome. Every time.
This was from earlier, so maybe the person who asked the question already. Any relation to Kay Connolly? Yes.
My
it's Trish's mom.
mother.
Indeed. And Melissa Martin wanted me to know that I do not have to go outside. And I should not
What?
let anyone tell me. I think this is me saying that I don't like camping.
Oh, right.
Oh, Quirkalopagus. Mace Kingsley Ranch in Palmdale, California was 87 to the early 90s and then opened in Gila. I don't know if it's Gila or Gila, but Gila Wilderness, Arizona from early 90s to 2002, seemingly.
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't know about the other one. I mean, yeah, I don't know about this other place, but the other one sounds right with the dates for sure.
Yeah. Tracy Murphy says, thank you, Trish, for sharing your story with us. Very courageous of you.
Thank you, Tracy.
And I think that's all we're going to do for right now. Miss Kim says, you were great. Thank you for your story.
Oh, thank you.
All right.
All right.
Well,
great.
2.5 hours went by pretty quick, I think.
I think it did. I need another.
All right, guys.
See ya.
Need another what?
Pee break.
Oh, okay, good. Thanks for hanging out with us, you guys. Thanks for watching until the very end. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click right inside here. If you have subscribed or not, subscribe